What's up, guys? Today I want to talk about some realistic wide receiver options via free agency. In a year I believe we have a special class of wide receivers in the draft, I do not think it would be wise to spend big money in free agency at the position. Other people will talk about Mike Evans, T. Higgins, Michael Pittman Jr., and even Brandon Ayuk trade rumors over the next 2 months. I honestly don't believe any of those guys are very realistic this year. I truly believe that Ryan Poles plans on drafting at least one receiver this year, but hopefully 2 or 3. With only DJ Moore, Velus Jones Jr., and Tyler Scott under contract, the need at the position is clear. So why not go after one of those big-time potential free agent wideouts? Well, I don't think T. Higgins or Michael Pittman Jr. have any shot at hitting free agency. And if they did, they would require big-time money. And then Mike Evans is going to be 30 years old. His best football is behind him. And Brandon Ayuk would require trading a valuable high-round pick plus re-signing him to a big-time contract. None of those really seem like Ryan Poles' style of moves to me, especially with the wide receiver class this talented. But what about a value addition in free agency, particularly an accomplished slot receiver? I love that idea. There are news reports out of Las Vegas that the Raiders are likely to release Hunter Renfro if they can't find a team to trade for him. While I do think it's possible that someone offers them a late round pick, Renfro has a really big contract, and I think he's most likely headed to free agency, and then at that point he would not be a bad value option. He's only 28 years old, and he's just 2 years removed from a 1,000-yard, 9-touchdown season. He's an accomplished slot receiver who Poles could sign at a bargain value. He's definitely a name to watch and could also help mentor some of the younger receivers on the roster. I do believe there are 2 other players that fit very well. Tyler Boyd from the Cincinnati Bengals will most likely be a free agent this offseason as well. Boyd has 2 1,000-yard seasons under his belt, but he hasn't been as involved in the offense over the last 2 or 3 years with the additions of Jamar Chase and T. Higgins in Cincinnati. Boyd just turned 29 years old, and he's still one of the better slot options in the league. He's averaged about 800 yards and 5 touchdowns a year. He catches nearly 70% of his targets, and he shouldn't cost too much in free agency. And then the same can be said about the final guy on the list, Curtis Samuel, who Adam Mason is very high on. Curtis is a good friend of DJ Moore and a former teammate in Carolina. He's been underutilized most of his career and battled injuries, but is very talented. Unlike the other 2 guys, he's never had a 1,000-yard season, but he had 77 catches for 851 yards. His career high came the last time he played with DJ Moore. He's coming off of back-to-back 600-plus yard and 4 touchdown seasons with the Commanders, and he's only 27 years old. Curtis Samuel is the youngest of the 3 options, and he has the most upside, is a former second-round pick, and has a friendship with DJ Moore. A lot of reasons to really like Curtis Samuel as well. I think he could also come at a bargain. I get why Adam likes him so much. I wanted to make this video to kind of explain my thoughts on the wide receiver position this offseason and what direction I believe Ryan Poles is headed. I have wide receiver on top of my list of needs this offseason, but with how much they cost in free agency and the talent in this year's draft class at the position, it just doesn't make sense to overspend on a receiver in free agency. I do think signing a bargain slot guy like either one of Samuel, Renfro, or Boyd would make a ton of sense in my opinion. It also wouldn't prevent us from drafting 2 receivers, and we'd still be adding another weapon on offense without overspending. It's a fun year to need a receiver. I can't stop talking about how good this year's draft class is at the position. I have my Malik Neighbors scouting report coming tomorrow, and we'll be working hard on finishing up Brian Thomas Jr. and Jaden Daniels as well. Remember to hit that like button for me, and until next time, bear down.